Chapter 23. And Paul, looking intensely at the Sanhedrin, said, Men, brothers, I have lived with all good conscience before God up to this day. Then the high priest commanded those standing by him to hit him in the mouth. At this Paul said to him, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. Are you sitting there judging me according to the law, and ordering that I should be hit contrary to the law? And those standing by said, You insult the high priest of God. And Paul declared, Brethren, I did not know that he was high priest, for it is written, For you shall not speak evil of the ruler of your people. When Paul noticed that part were Sadducees, but the other Pharisees, he called out to the council, Men, brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the confidence and resurrection of the dead, I am on trial. When he said this, a dissension began with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, nor angel, nor spirit, but Pharisees agree with all three. But a loud cry arose, and part of the scribes of the Pharisees stood up in protest, saying, We find nothing evil in this man, but if a spirit has spoken to him or an angel, let us not fight against God. But when the dissension became so great, the tribune, being concerned lest they tear Paul apart, ordered the soldiers to go down and take him from their midst and bring him to the barracks. And then that night the Lord came near and stood by him, saying, Be courageous, Paul, for just as you testified concerning me in Jerusalem, even so you shall also bear witness in Rome. And when it was day, certain of the Jews conspired together and put themselves under a curse, saying that they would not eat or drink until they had killed Paul. And there were more than 40 that made this plot. And they came to the high priests and elders, saying, We have bound ourselves under a curse of curses. We will eat nothing until we have slain Paul. Now therefore, you, with the council, make known to the chief captain that you want him to bring him down tomorrow, as though you had more questions to ask him, and we will be ready to kill him when he comes. When Paul's sister's son heard of their lying in wait, he went and entered into the castle and told Paul. And Paul, having called one of the centurions, said, Take this young man unto the chief captain, for he has something to report to him. And he took him and said, Paul the prisoner called me and asked me to bring this young man to you, who has something to tell you. Then the chief captain took him by the hand and went away and asked him, What is it that you have to report to me? And he said, The Jews agreed to request that you bring Paul to the Sanhedrin tomorrow, as though they would inquire about something more accurately of him. You should not be convinced by them, for more than 40 men lie in wait for him, who have put themselves under a curse neither to eat or drink until they put him to death, and now are ready, waiting for a promise from you. Then the chief captain dismissed the young man and charged him, Tell no one that you made these things known to me. And having called 2 of the centurions, he said, Make ready 200 soldiers to go to Caesarea, and 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen at the 3rd hour of the night. And they provided mounts to set Paul on, to bring him safely to Felix the governor, having written a letter to this effect. Claudius Lysias, unto the most excellent governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews, and they were about to put him to death. I came up with a troop and rescued him, having learned that he was a Roman. And desiring to know the charge for which they accused him, I brought him down to their Sanhedrin, whom I found to be accused of questions concerning their law, but having no accusation worthy of death or of bonds. Then, having been informed of a plot about to be carried out by the Jews against this man, I immediately sent him to you, having also charged the accusers to speak what they may against him before you. Farewell. Therefore the soldiers, according to their orders, took Paul by night and brought him to Antipatris. Then the next day they left the horsemen to go with him and returned to the castle. When they came to Caesarea, they delivered the epistle to the governor and presented Paul before him. When the governor had read it, he asked what province he was from. and understanding that he was from Cilicia, he said, "I will hear you when your accusers have arrived." And he commanded that he should be kept in the praetorium of Herod.